Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. And yes guys, that's right, you read the title, and you know exactly what it is that I am now about to review. A definitely very underrated Cartoon Network show. And sadly, this one very underrated Cartoon Network show, I mean, there's been a couple of others, but, you know, this is another one of those that sadly only lasted for one season, and didn't have that many episodes. And, you know, hard to believe that the total of episodes for this one Cartoon Network show, having 10 episodes, and the running time for all 10 episodes are 11 minutes. Well, I mean, I'm not complaining, I'm just pointing it out, because it's true, but yes. And I've been meaning to get around to this one Cartoon Network show for quite a while, and especially to check out more Cartoon Network content, and in the case of me reviewing them, you get the point. But yeah, overall, yes guys, I am now finally reviewing, and if any of you happen to know and be aware of this one very underrated Cartoon Network show that ran from 2010 to 11, that being Robotomy. Yes, and I believe I am pronouncing that right. Robotomy? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, haven't you heard the word lobotomy or something? Yeah, but without the L, there's an R, so, you know. But yeah, so, Cartoon Network's Robotomy. Yeah. This is a pretty interesting, crazy/insane Cartoon Network show that's all about robots. And, you know, who doesn't love anything cartoon and animation about, you know, robots, futuristic stuff, all that jazz, you know. Yeah, and here's the thing. With the first things I have to say about Robotomy, well, because I know I probably talked about this before, where the early days when watching Cartoon Network and when I was very young, well, I didn't watch that much Cartoon Network, with the exceptions of, like, say, and what was recorded on VHS, most prominently Crypto the Superdog. That was one of my big jams on Cartoon Network. That, and I saw a little bit of Harry and His Bucket Full of Dinosaurs. A couple of episodes of Harry and His Bucket Full of Dinosaurs were recorded on VHS when, yeah, primarily what was being recorded on VHS and that I would watch would be Crypto, but yeah. But, besides those two, I did see a little bit of other Cartoon Network materials on actual TV, you know, on cable and such. Like, I had seen bits and pieces of Grim Adventures, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Codenamed Kids Next Door, and a little bit of Tom and Jerry, a bit of Looney Tunes, all that, just, yeah. But even as of now, I really, you know, have seen quite a lot more of that, especially Grim Adventures being one of my top favorites. But also, even later on, during the good old days of Cartoon Network, another one of my big jams that I watched a lot on Cartoon Network was Clone Wars. Yeah. And when Clone Wars came out, well, Robotomy came out, again, around 2010, and then up to 2011, the next year. I would have known if I had seen any of them, but I did not once see any advertisement, promos, anything in relation and in connection with Robotomy, so, yeah. But later on, and when I discovered and started to know more about Robotomy, thanks to, well, say, a couple of videos on YouTube that are all about Robotomy, most prominently Melting Man 234's Forgotten Media episode of the show itself. If you know Melting Man 234, yeah, good on you. But yeah, so that was one of my earliest full acknowledgement of Robotomy. And the fact that due to Robotomy having a very short life, never being released on DVD, anything, well, luckily, all of the 10 episodes managing to find their way through social media, like, it had been available on iTunes, yeah, and even making its way on YouTube, even as of now, because all 10 episodes in good quality, and with the audio in sync, all of that, yeah, being on YouTube. You know, you type in Robotomy, you'll find it, just, yeah. Awesome. So, having the privilege to watch the entirety of Robotomy, every single episode from beginning to end, yeah, like I said, this is one insane/crazy piece of Cartoon Network material. It definitely is. But in a good way, of course. And because, you know, with the episodes being 11 minutes long, still, it was pretty good. Yeah, just, it's just, I feel as though Robotomy was just another one of those Cartoon Network shows, unlike anything. And in a good way. And by the way, I forgot to mention this because during the same time when Clone Wars was on, well, other shows on Cartoon Network that I watched was like, say, Flapjack, Chowder, a bit of Generator Rex, and Ben 10. Need I go on? Just, yeah, during that time. But anyways, I just almost forgot to mention it because, yeah, Chowder and Flapjack were two other biggies in the later years of Cartoon Network in the mid/late 2000s, okay? But yeah, but back on point with Robotomy, because, yeah, with what Robotomy has to offer, with its storyline, its center, the center of the show, like, what goes on with our two main characters, who are the main focuses of Robotomy, which being Thasher and Blastus. Very fitting robotic names, for sure. And the planet that they live on, they're just trying to live their normal lives, going to high school, and the fact that they live on this planet, which not being Earth, it's a planet called Insanus. How appropriate is that? Because literally, everything that goes on the planet Insanus is practically insane. All the robots just attacking and destroying one another, and it's amazing to see that we would see them again after being destroyed. It's kind of almost similar to, like, say, I don't know, Kenny from South Park. Oh my god, to kill Kenny! Because he dies every time, but he comes back. You see, that's a good example, but anyways. Yeah, each of the characters, the storylines, some really good animation to this Cartoon Network show. And the funny moments here and there, the unexpected moments, just everything to Robotomy is pretty interesting, and I, of course, would recommend it. Yeah. And by the way, because the animation style, to talk more about that, the animation style is really great, and almost like giving vibes of, to me, a mixture of, say, Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, like the style of the robots, quite almost similar to the robots, how they looked in Whatever Happened to Robot Jones. If anybody remembers and knows about Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, that's another very underrated Cartoon Network show. And also Sheep in the Big City, that's another one to me, because I guess mainly the color tone of both shows, Sheep in the Big City and Robotomy. Don't you think? Because, the tone of each colors of both shows, in that kind of that same territory, wouldn't you say so? And animation style-wise, I would think so too. Just, the look and design of the characters, but most prominently, the color and tone. That's a biggie to me, and I'm sure you would think so too. If you compare and look at both shows, then maybe then you can tell, but alright. But anyway, so overall, Robotomy, a very interesting, very underrated Cartoon Network show, without a doubt. Okay. Now, with the first things I've had to say about Robotomy now out of the way, now as always, for me, read the description / the story. Thrasher and Blastus are the two outcast teenage droids, the show uses the word droid, okay, living on the dangerous planet Insanus, as I explained. Despite the ultra-violent world they live in, they have something even more challenging to worry about, fitting in and getting along in high school. Which, no surprise, that could happen to anybody. I'm sure to a lot of you. But anyways, their efforts are sometimes successful, and other times, not so much, as it finishes reading off. Okay. Alright, so, now with reading the description / the story out of the way, let us now dive in / break down the show itself. Okay. So again, all 10 episodes, and, well, they were pretty interesting, because I don't go ahead and name them off, all of them, so Episode 1, Frenemy. Episode 2, Bling Thing. Episode 3, No Child Left Benjin. If I even said that right, again, you know me sometimes, and the rest of the titles of the episodes, I'm probably going to butcher some of them, but Episode 4, The Play Date. Episode 5, El Presidente. Episode 6, Field of Screams, episode 7, Seven Fingers, Mean Green, episode 8, The Trials of Robotomy, if I said that right, episode 9, Nana's Run, and episode 10, From Regina with Love. Okay. Yeah, so again, I'll say it again, all 10 episodes that Robotomy has in store are pretty interesting. And, just, like the first episode, episode 1, Frenemy, because, with what goes on in that, description / the story, Thrasher and Blastus, their new social network site, Frenemy, turns out to be a clingy, insecure, and homicidal stalker. Yeah, because there's a moment where Thrasher and Blastus, they try to make some online friends, but apparently there's a moment where it takes 2,000 years, I think that sounds about right, for this to happen. And their older selves, they travel back in time to inform their younger selves that, it's taken that long for there to be any friend, but yet they've had no luck over those many years. And eventually they would stumble upon, a new social network site, which, would technically become their online friend, their full-time online friend being called Frenemy. And to go ahead and name the voice cast, because, our two main characters of the show, Thrasher, who's tall, and he's very nervous and such, and he's trying to, he doesn't like to screw things up. Thrasher being voiced by the good old talented Patton Oswalt. Yeah, I'd know his voice anywhere. You would too. And Blastus, who's wanting to fit in with the crowd and such, being voiced by John Gemberlin, if I said that right. Yeah, and he did one more voice in the show, a character by the name of Terabyte. Yeah, Terabyte. I'll talk more about Terabyte in just a moment, but and their new online friend being named Frenemy, and I know his voice anywhere too, you would as well, Jack McBrayer. Frenemy, at a certain point, he starts to get really out of hand and screwing up Thrasher and Blastus's social networks, with texting and interacting with people on social media. Even when, say, Frenemy at one point causes for anybody trying to send a friend request to both of them, just having it been blocked. And it would lead to where Thrasher and Blastus, they've had enough, and they once and for all managed to take down Frenemy. Even towards the end of the episode, they then try going for online dating, but the same thing happens just like what happened with Frenemy. So that happens all over again, and 2 days later, they take down the dating robot app, and just the same ways they did with Frenemy. Anyways, okay, but let's name some of the other characters, because we have, Megawatt and Weenus. I've said their names right. Both being voiced by Michael Cinderskalis, however his last name's pronounced. Again, you know me sometimes. Weenus is one of Thrasher and Blastus's friends. He's a short robot, and he has one huge, massive arm, and sometimes his voice would change and sound like an evil overlord. It's interesting that a very short robot, him, and he was just a goofball, his voice would sometimes out of nowhere switch to sound like an evil overlord. It's funny, of course. But overall, because Weenus was another pretty funny character right next to the two main robots, Thrasher and Blastus. And Megawatt, again being voiced by Michael, Megawatt, he's a very popular robot boy in high school, very rich and wealthy, and always getting the attention of the robot ladies with his upgrades and such. And there would be an episode where, Thrasher and Blastus, they would try to do the same thing that Megawatt does. Basically, which being episode 2, Bling Thing, where, yeah, it reads that Flasher and Blastus, they get jobs to, at the mall to buy fancy upgrades like their rival Megawatt. So that's what they do, but, well, of course, in the end, it doesn't turn all that great. Especially when, yeah, Thrasher definitely wants to win over Mammy's heart. Just didn't go so well at the end for the poor 2 robots. Also, Mammy, who's, kind of a brat or something. She's like the very nice-looking, attractive robot girl at the robot high school, and Thrasher has a crush on Mammy, and always trying his best to win her over, to get her attention and such. Okay, and to mention the 2 heads of the school, the teacher and the principal. Dreadnought, who's a strict teacher, and he enjoys, tormenting his students, giving them homework and exams, all that. Just the kind of strict teacher he is, and, well, like any teacher, like in reality or in some shows, it's like, I can think of, like, say, some of the teachers from iCarly, or those from, say, the Captain Underpants books. If you get what I'm saying, one of those teachers. But, at the same time, I mean, I don't know, Dreadnought is that too extreme, I guess, but, almost, kind of. And Thunderbite, whom is the high school's principal, and, he has a cool design, and he looks menacing and terrifying, but he's actually a sweet, kind robot, and he cares for his students, and he doesn't want to attack them or anything. He looks menacing, but he's got heart. A robot heart, basically. So, yeah, he was a good character. Nice to see that, and that's another thing. Sometimes any principals could be very nice, and because I mentioned iCarly in the case of Principal Franklin, but yeah. And Dreadnought and Thunderbite, they're both voiced by Dana Snyder. Yeah, I think I got his first name right. So that's pretty cool, because, and very fitting that he voices both those characters. And, oh yes, because Mr. Snyder happens to also voice an iconic TV character in the realm of animation, of course. Yep. Master Shake, baby. Yep. The voice of Master Shake doing voices on Robotomy. That's really cool. I'm sure, and because I mentioned his name, you knew instantly who I was talking about. Just all right. And to mention Mammy once again, because, Mammy, I didn't mention her voice actress, Jessie Candrell. Yeah, and she voices a couple of other characters, like another character named Jiggers, but yeah. Okay, and that's pretty cool, because Roger Craig Smith, one of the original voices of Sonic the Hedgehog, did a couple voices. He voiced Tacklebot, and also he was the second voice for Megawatt. And Kate McKinnon, if I got her last name right, she did a voice as well on the show. Just a couple of characters here and there, like, the 2 I'm seeing right here, Driver and Exploda. Okay. And, this is, I want to say, it is pre-SNL, when, before Kate officially became a part of SNL, because, I don't know, because, yes, it was, because just 1 year after Robotomy sadly came to an end, she would then find herself being a part of SNL just 1 year later in 2012, and from there on, so, yeah. So before SNL, the early stuff that she was doing right before SNL, I should say, Robotomy was one of them. Good on her. Okay, but continuing on, and to, kind of speed things up some, because, there is one episode I definitely want to talk about most prominently, and that is episode 4, which, being called The Playdate. The description / the story: a playdate with Thrasher as babysitter for his baby sister Sparks as a global war between toddlers and their toys. Yeah, because Thrasher, whom, has a baby sister, and having to find out that the robot girl he has a crush on and trying to win her over, Mammy, has a, young sibling of her own. And, somehow manages to, interact with her some more and, to arrange for a play date and such. Maybe Thrasher can, finally win over Mammy's heart. But the problem is, and as it's established a lot through the show, Mammy is, technically seeing Megawatt. However, there would be one episode later on where it seems like, Mammy finally falls in love with Thrasher, but that sadly wouldn't last long. In fact, she would establish to Thrasher that she had been dating Megawatt to obviously get his attention and to make him jealous. Well, that's not a nice move, but, Thrasher, knowing Thrasher, do anything to win over Mammy's heart, yeah. But anyway, so, with the rest, to talk about the rest of the playdate, because, for one thing, and with what would start a war is that, there's this one toy that Mammy points out to Thrasher before she heads off with Megawatt. She points out to Thrasher that this one toy that, cannot be damaged or anything like that, it's her sibling's favorite, and that being it's a parody of the Tickle Me Elmo toys, and that being called Tickle Me Psycho. How fitting is that? Yeah. So we have the Tickle Me Psycho, and at one point, all Tickle Me Psychos, they come to life. I mean, is it obvious? And seeing as how that, everything on Planet Insanus is a robot, so that would of course count the dolls, the toys that the robots have of their own. And Tickle Me Psycho being voiced by, because obviously Tickle Me Psycho, of course, talks and has a personality of its own. All of them do. And the voice of Tickle Me Psycho is the late legendary comedian Gilbert Gottfried, of course. How fitting is it for Gilbert Gottfried to voice a character like Tickle Me Psycho? But just to finish off episode 4, the playdate, it was a pretty good one. With what that episode had to offer, the whole Tickle Me Psycho, the war between toys and children, that was great. And especially because at the end, it seems like at one point everything's going to come to an end, but nope, it doesn't. But yet when we get to the next episode, it's like nothing ever happened. It didn't continue on. The war, just, between the toddlers and the toys. Oh well, just one of those. Anyways. And, okay, and some of the other episodes to mention, because, the one, episode 5, El Presidente, because Thrasher, at one point, he regains as the all-powerful student body president, and this would lead to the school and his friendship with Blastus to brink of destruction. This was pretty interesting, and Thrasher, being, the class president or something, but, it was interesting, and, well, luckily, things turn out fine in the end for Thrasher and Blastus. And a bunch of others, because, there's another episode where, and as I read the title, episode 9, Nine Fingers, Nana's Run. This was interesting, because, we get the appearance of Thrasher's elderly Nana, because, with what happens in this episode, Thrasher and Blastus, they try to save Thrasher's elderly Nana from being fired as a weapon at an enemy planet, but rescuing her might put their own planet in danger, because apparently something happens to Thrasher's elderly Nana that makes her go psychotic as a robot and being very dangerous and such. That was interesting. And also, Field of Screams, which being episode 6, Thrasher and Blastus turn to a psycho enchantment drink, if I said that right, to Exile at the ultra-violent Multation Ball. But the tonic side effects might be more dangerous than the game. Yeah, that was another pretty interesting one. And if this was this episode or another where, yeah, because there's a moment where Thrasher and Blastus, they go through puberty. And it's kind of reminding me of, like, how The Amazing World of Gumball, another Cartoon Network show, it technically did the same thing, too, where, and the Grim Adventures of Billy Mandy did that as well. I'm pretty sure, yeah, but I can most prominently think of Gumball, where, yeah, supposedly, yeah, Gumball and Darwin, they think that they went through puberty and such, becoming men. Then their little sister, Anais, well, it happened to her too, and they just took some stuff that made them grow big and have man voices, have facial hair on their bodies. But obviously, in the case of Robotomy, yeah, very different, of course, and since they are robots. But that was pretty interesting. And also, yeah, and there was another one where, yeah, in episode 8, Trials of, yeah, Thrasher and Blastus and their classmates, they struggled to survive a horde of monsters in order to prove their manhood. That was a pretty interesting one, especially because, like, with what they come face-to-face with, and I believe it is the one where, yeah, because this, like, man-eating plant and such, which eventually, and it might have been a different one, but yeah, just like this live alien plant that comes to life, then it would soon start a whole batch of man-eating plant monsters that would attack Planet Insanus. Like, that was pretty interesting. And to go ahead and name some of the other voice cast members, because, yeah, Elsa Dushku, if I got her last name right, voices Shockzana, and I also recognize his voice anywhere. Lewis Black, he voices Gore Axe, and there's also Green Bud being voiced by Lisa Lampenelli, and Dean Edwards, he just voices a robot. That's all that character's name is, just robot. Oh yes, and Being Green, because that's where Lewis Black did a voice in an episode of Robotomy. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's always a delight to hear Lewis Black's voice and anything he's in, and since he's using his natural voice, just like in the case of Anger from Inside Out. Anyways, okay, and to go ahead and get to the last episode, because, yeah, Episode 10 from Rechina with Love, because, yeah, in the the description / the story reads, and in this episode, an exotic woman from the internet drives as a wedge between Blastus and Thrasher. Well, yeah, basically, winning over Blastus's heart, and, well, I mean, Blastus, at one point lied to, this robot lady he falls in love with, and, yeah, because, she's a very rich, wealthy robot, and yeah, that being, Shockzana, that's her, and eventually, like, she, of course, when she realizes and knows that Blastus has been lying, yeah, she had no problem, she understood, and, you know, especially finding someone attractive and who's very honest and kind, unlike those creeps out there, you know, that's understandable. But in the end, and when at one point it seems like they're both going to get married, actually turns out that Shockzana betrayed Blastus, stealing some crowning jewels and all that, you know. Yeah, it ended pretty badly, but, you know, it seems like at the same time Blastus still had a soft spot for Shockzana. And, yeah, that was very interesting with what goes on in that episode. Even, like, there's a moment where Megawatt and his parents, and Kate McKinney, she voiced Megawatt's mom, they supposedly think that they're ghosts, they're dead or something, but they're not, just, yeah, and they're the last characters we see in that episode, and to think that's the 10th and final episode, wow, what a way for that episode to end off with all that happened towards the end, you know, between Blastus and Shockzana, and with the Megawatt family, with Megawatt's family, I should say, because I don't think we really know their last names, but anyways, yeah, just seriously, just everything about Robotomy is crazy, but at the same time, crazy good. Yeah, all 10 episodes, and what they have to offer. The entire show itself is really interesting. And, you know, it's unfortunate because the aftermath of Robotomy, sadly, you know, due to budget costs and nobody else around the world being interested in this show, they just, yeah, sadly, in the end, in 2011, the show would be canceled. And like I said earlier, due to Robotomy's short life, it never got a DVD release, Blu-ray release, anything. But again, the show managing to live on, of course, on social media, most prominently YouTube. Again, you can easily search for the show and boom, it's there. Yeah, and I would recommend it again. If any of you have seen this before, yeah, but for those of you that haven't, go watch it yourself. Okay, yeah, just overall, Robotomy, a very underrated, interesting, enjoyable Cartoon Network show for what it is. All about robots, and this coming after, like, say, another, you know, past Cartoon Network show that was all about robots, which, of course, being Whatever Happened to Robot Jones. Just, yeah. Just, again, everything that Robotomy is, what it has to offer, what it's like, and with its 10 episodes, and from the characters, great animation, some very interesting storylines, moments you didn't see coming, everything about Robotomy, really good. And I'm giving Robotomy, well, why not? Yeah, 8 out of 10 stars. Yes, 8 out of 10 stars for Cartoon Network's Robotomy. And what about you guys? What did you think of Robotomy itself? Any of you that were aware of this show before? You have seen it? Did you catch it on Cartoon Network? Which are some of your favorite episodes, your favorite characters? And do you too find this insanely good, crazy/insane good? Is it one of your favorite underrated Cartoon Network shows? And, you know, being one of those shows that you watched during the good old days of Cartoon Network. Just, yeah. And obviously, you know, wherever you've watched it on social media, most prominently on YouTube, yeah. But just, okay, overall, what do you think of Robotomy itself, with what all I've had to say, my review, and yeah, what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, guys, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Cartoon Network's Robotomy. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I will see you guys in the next video / review. Take care, and until I review something else, Cartoon Network, peace out.